Blessings. I just wanted to share a testimony real quick. Um, and I wanted to share it because I wanted to say this. A lot of times we have something going on right in our lives. And I noticed that especially if you're in survival mode or you're kicked into survival mode, we will be running from that issue and running from it and running from it instead of handling it. And I was in a domestic violence relationship at this time, and I had bought a car, but I bought the car in his name because I didn't have my license. My license was suspended from an accident that I had. That I had been in. And I did have insurance and everything, but the insurance company hadn't paid it, hadn't paid out the other person's car and stuff. So everything I was doing was in my boyfriend's name at the time. This was before I had even come back to God. So I was still in the world at this time, but I didn't know until after I came back to God. God brought it back to me one day and he let me know that he had always been with me my whole entire life. And he started to show me situations that he had worked out, and he was the one working in the background. So even when we're going through stuff and even when we're still in the world, if you're God's child and a child of the light, and you was already picked from the beginning, listen, God is with you and God is the one working things out. That's why you're still here. You might think and feel alone because you might not be able to hear him because you're not really in the word. But if you pick up that word and you start to read that word and you go back to him, you're going to be able to hear him clearer and clearer and clearer. So it was my birthday. It was either my birthday or the day before or after my birthday. And I had was going shopping for new furniture for my home, and we get pulled over, but I'm in the passenger seat because I wouldn't drive, right? I never would drive. So I'm in the passenger seat. And while I'm in the passenger seat, I did the thing happen before that or after that? Actually, no, before that situation even happened, at my job where I had been for years, I had been there for like 13, 14 years, and there was a new administrator that came and took over. He happened to be a lawyer. And so my boyfriend used to drop me to work, but this one particular day, he got in a fight with somebody at my job outside. And so the administrator called me into the office and he told me my boyfriend wasn't allowed on the premises anymore. And I said, well, he's the one that drops me to work. And he said, well, why aren't you driving? And I told him about the accident. He asked me, did I have insurance? I said, yes. He said, okay, bring me the paperwork and stuff like that. He asked me how long it had been. I told him. He said, bring me the paperwork and everything because I'm a lawyer. I said, okay. So I brought him everything, never thought anything about it, never asked him about it, never even thought that he could fix the problem or that the problem would be fixed because God was using him. But remember, I was not with God, I was still in the world. So a few months later was when this happened now. So we get pulled over and they asked for his ID, but then they asked for my ID too, which they never do. It was in the daytime, right? So I'm just sitting and I give them my ID. I'm thinking nothing of it. Okay. I had an accident, but in that accident, I had gone to the hospital fire rescue. So when I went to the hospital fire rescue, and I never got like paperwork stating that, about court or anything like that. But apparently I had missed my court date. And so what happened? So they asked me for my ID. So I give them my ID. I'm not thinking anything of it. I give them the ID. They come back talking about there's a bench warrant. So he says, they tell him to come out the car. So they get ready to put the handcuffs on him. And then they say, no, the bench warrant is on her. Right? Because they come back later and say, no, the bench warrant is on her. So he was like, what? What? She's a good girl. There's no way no bench warrant. She ain't never been to jail before this. bench warrant. So I was like, what? So then they was like, you have to come out the car, right? So they put the cuffs on me and I'm like crying now and they put me in the back, right? So I'm like, what in the world? So I he calls my family. They're all calling like crazy now, trying to it's talking about "Well, we're gonna work on it, we're gonna get you out, blah blah blah. But by then he had already gotten me out. He came and paid the bill whatever the bail was, whatever. He went and got the bail bondsman and paid the bail, and then he got me out. He got me out that same day. But I met this girl and for some reason started to encourage her while she was in there. And then the food, the sandwiches and stuff that they was gonna give me, I didn't eat them. So she was like, "Can I have that?" I was like, "Sure," right? But it was like I say that to say this, right? Because the next day, that day I got out. The next that late that night I got out. I think it was like 11 something at night. When I got up in the morning, I went straight to the place. I looked at the thing on they put all the information on the thing of who had the lien on my license or whatever. And it was, I think it was State Farm or something farm or something. So I go there and I go there to get the information of what I need to do in order to get my license. And the lady goes to the back, comes back to the front with the paper with a copy of the paid off check and tells me that the entire thing has been paid. And I'm like, huh? She said, the entire thing has been paid. And she gives me a clearance to go get my license. So I got my license that day. And then I was able to go get a car for myself in my name. Listen, didn't have no clue it was God. Okay, y'all. I thought that I thought it had God used my administrator to do it, but it was God. And God wanted me to know that He had already taken care of the problem because I was just avoiding it and avoiding it and avoiding it instead of just going and dealing with it. And sometimes we're avoiding things in our life instead of just going and dealing with it. And you'll find that once you make the first step, God will make two. And that goes for whether you're homeless, whether you're facing something else. It doesn't matter what you're facing. It says everything that the devil means for evil, God will turn it for our good. And He really does. He turns it around for your good. Because once I did that, I went there. There was such a relief when she came back. I was so shocked. She said it's paid, and she had a copy of everything showing it was completely paid and gave me a copy of it and then gave me the clearance to go get my license. And then I was able to get my car. After I got my car, I had my car for a while, but then I was able to leave the person too because I was no longer bound in that way. And God is always trying to take His children out of Egypt, Babylon, and all these other systems, but are we going to walk out of it? Or are we going to stay bound? Is the question, right? So I just wanted to share that because, I just thought about it, and I'm like, let me share that, because I have so many stories, about God. God is amazing. Yeah, He is really, really amazing. And He's working in the background, even when you can't see Him. Just like Isaiah 45 says, it says, even though you didn't know it was me, it was always me. It was always me working in the background. So give Yah all your praise, glory, and honor because truly He is always working in the background for His kids. Even when we cannot see it, He's the one working in the background. All right, on our behalf. I love y'all and bye bye. Love y'all.